Walt Disney World. For the majority of us, those three little words probably stir up a myriad of emotions and memories, many of which might be connected to some sort of ride or attraction. Whether that's an attraction we absolutely love with all of our being, or maybe one that we wish never to set foot in ever again. Whatever the case may be, there's no denying that Disney's collection of rides and attractions is insane. From roller coasters and dark rides to shows and experiences that you really can't find anywhere else, Disney has something for everyone. But there's no denying that some attractions are better than others. But is it possible to rank all of these different rides and attractions? Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Adventures with Parker. In today's episode of Theme Park Parlay, I'm going to attempt to rank all 84 rides and attractions at the Walt Disney World Resort. Now, before we begin, I have a couple disclaimers to make. First of all, there's a million things to do at Disney, and I can't possibly fit everything into one list. So, where do you draw the line? For the purposes of this video, I will not be including parades, nighttime spectaculars, character meet and greets, outdoor stage shows, save for a couple exceptions, exhibits, or any of the rides or attractions in the water parks. I mean, come on guys, this is already going to be a long video with the 84 that I've selected. Sound fair? Good. Also, there is no such thing as a perfect, objective ranking of Disney rides and attractions. There are so many different factors that go into what makes a ride good or not, and for this list, I've taken a lot of them into consideration, including thrill level, the audience that the attraction is intended for, the queue experience, the comfort of the ride vehicles, just anything you can think of. I tried to find a nice balance, but in the end, no list is perfect. So this is my list. It is subjective, but that's okay. And that being said, this list is just for fun. Don't take anything too seriously. I mean, even though I might have given a ride a lower ranking, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means maybe it's not what I prioritize when I go to a park. So maybe I guess the way you can interpret and use this list is that the attractions that are closer to number one are the things that you should absolutely try to prioritize and incorporate into your trip, whereas the rides and attractions that are closer to 84 might be the ones that maybe you do only if you have an extra 10 minutes, or maybe you need some time to relax and get out of the sun, or let the kids blow off steam, but they're not the attractions that you're going to plan your whole trip around. Although, if I think an attraction's bad, I'm gonna say so. And one last thing before we get started, I have not been to the parks since March of 2017, so I have not experienced like Pandora, Toy Story Land, Galaxy's Edge. However, I'm still going to try to include those things in my list. Just look for this symbol when those attractions come up, and that'll kind of let you know that my opinion might not be fully formed yet. But I'm still gonna try to use what limited knowledge I have. Enough dilly-dallying. Without any further ado, let's talk theme parks! Okay, coming in at number 84, we have Casey Jr.'s Splash and Soak Station. It's just a splash pad. That's it. It does have some really cool Dumbo-inspired theming, but it's a splash pad. Need I say more? Coming in at number 83 is the ImageWorks What If Labs. These are kind of like some interactive kind of things that you can do. They're located at the end of Journey into Imagination, and it's there. At number 82, we have Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival. This is an attraction that is basically a theater where you go in, sit down, and watch Disney and Pixar shorts. And this is a classic example of attractions that aren't bad per se, but this is something that you can do in the comfort of your own home on Disney+. So why would you waste your precious vacation minutes doing it in a theme park? But again, if you need those 10 minutes to relax, get out of the sun, and sit down for a while, this is perfect. This is a great attraction for that, but it's definitely not something you should plan for. And there are so many other things to do in the parks that why would you do something that you can do from home? You know? Number 81 is the Frontierland Shooting Arcade. This is basically a shooting gallery in Frontierland, and you shoot things. You shoot targets. Again, not a bad attraction, but this is something that you can do at an arcade. You know, you can go to any arcade anywhere in the world, and you can do something very similar to this. Maybe it's not the same as being in the Wild West frontier setting, but it's skippable in my opinion, you know? Coming in at number 80 is Affection Section. This is the petting zoo that you can find at Rafiki's Planet Watch. And I don't know, it's an ordinary petting zoo. You can find these kind of things anywhere. Like, it's not like Disney-fied in any way. It's just, you go in and you see the goats, and goats are cool, and maybe your kids will like goats. It's just not the goat. But then again, if you really think about it, goats are the goat. At number 79 is the Wildlife Express. This is the train ride that takes you from Africa over to Rafiki's Planet Watch, and this is more of a practical attraction. Like, it gets you from point A to point B. You don't do it really for the sake of doing it. I mean, it does give you some interesting behind-the-scenes look at some of the night shelters for the animals on the safari, but other than that, there's really not much to look at. Like, it just kind of goes through this foresty area, and it's kind of boring, really. Sorry. Number 78 is Prince Charming's Regal Carousel, which is a beautiful carousel located in Fantasyland. This is actually the oldest ride at Walt Disney World. It used to operate at a boardwalk before being refurbished and relocated to Fantasyland when the park opened in 1971. But it's really just a carousel. I mean, there's nothing overly special about it. It is cool in the way that it plays Disney tunes in that carousel organ sound, but other than that, it's a carousel. Yeah. At number 77, we have Awesome Planet. This is a short film that you can find in the Land Pavilion, and it's actually really cool because it talks about how the Earth was made, then it talks about different biomes and habitats around the world, and it does a really good job at talking about the climate crisis, but then it incorporates this really awesome, inspiring message about how humans can collaborate and use different technologies and innovations to fight the climate change, and it's an amazing film, and as an environmental science major myself, I give it my stamp of approval. But again, you can watch this film on YouTube. You don't really need to waste your precious theme park minutes watching it. Enjoy it, it's great, just there are better things you can do with your time. Number 76 is the Boneyard. This is basically a children's playground. Like, there's different climbing structures, and there's little dig pits where kids can dig up dinosaur bones, which is really cool. Yeah, if you can't tell, I was definitely a dinosaur nerd growing up. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with this attraction. It's just designed to be a filler attraction. It's the place where you let your kids run free to just run off all of their energy and whatnot. Number 75 is Tom Sawyers Island. And there's really not much to this attraction. It's the island in the middle of the rivers of America, you know, where the riverboat goes around, and there's caves you can explore, and there's play structures. There's really nothing much to it, but I do think it is a little underrated because if you need to just get away from the crowds of the Magic Kingdom, it's a really secluded spot in the park, and it's very relaxing. It's awesome for that purpose, but there's really not much to do, and you have to take the raft over, so that can be inconvenient at times. At number 74, we have Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. This is a kind of like a sit-down show based on that one scene from Cars 3 where Lightning McQueen is on that racing simulator, and it's just kind of just Lightning McQueen taking you through that whole experience. I kind of gave it a bit of a higher ranking than maybe it deserves because I hear the animatronic is really cool, but I don't think there's really much to the show itself. Number 73 is Turtle Talk with Crush. This is a kind of a cool attraction because you can talk to Crush the sea turtle from Finding Nemo on the screen, and I'm about to ruin some magic here, but a cast member is hidden and responds and can talk very personally with guests, and it's kind of like you're talking right to Crush. I mean, obviously, with suspension of disbelief, that is kind of the whole point. You're actually talking to this sea turtle, which is really cool, but it's kind of like a one and done kind of thing. Number 72, we have our first spinner ride, and that is Triceratops Spin. And they could get rid of this ride, and I would not be sad. I am so sorry. But it is, in my opinion, the worst of the spinner attractions on property. I mean, you already have like a whole bunch like in the Magic Kingdom. Why do you need one here now? And there's nothing special to it, and you're not really looking at anything special either. Like, you're looking at an artificial parking lot. Then again, I guess it does serve the purpose of being one of the very few designed for kids attractions at Animal Kingdom, but there are so many better things they could have done in place of it. I mean, come on, a spinner really, in case you couldn't tell, spinners just honestly seem like lazy theme park design for me, especially in the context of a Disney park. At number 71, we have Disney Junior Play and Dance. This is, I guess, a good show if you have like little kids who watch Disney Junior every day and they know the characters, and this is a really cool opportunity for them to meet those characters and just dance with them. I've taken kids to the parks before, like my cousins and foster kids my family has, and this is a show where they go while I do like Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror or something. And just based on what my family's told me about it, there's not much to it, but it's something that the kids really love, so you can't really hate it. Coming in at number 70 is Enchanted Tales with Belle. Now, this is a really interesting concept. It's basically where you go into Belle's cottage, and there's a Lumiere animatronic, and Belle will come out and read the story about how her and the Beast met, and there's an interactive component to it. So it all sounds really cool, but obviously it's kind of meant for younger children, so it's not something that's going to appeal to me, a 22-year-old adult male. But I mean, if you have kids, I guess it'd be kind of cool to check out. I mean, especially because they had that growing near effect before you walk in, and that seems like a really cool piece of engineering and Imagineering. So yeah, it's cool, just not for me. At number 69, we have Voyage of the Little Mermaid. This is a stage show in Hollywood studios that basically retells the story of the Little Mermaid. And I have not seen this show since 2007. It has been a long time. But honestly, I don't remember anything really standing out to me. I mean, I forget this attraction even exists like all the time. It's a very forgettable show. I don't think it's bad per se, if I remember correctly. It's just not something you need to do again once you've done it once. At number 68, we have Swiss Family Treehouse. And maybe I'm a little biased because a lot of people just would probably rank this attraction much lower than I am, but I am actually a fan of the Swiss Family Robinson movie. I know not a lot of people are, and especially kids probably have no idea that this movie even exists, but it is such a good movie. I love classic Disney films, and to be able to explore that tree house, it's just really cool. And they have little plaques all over the place telling you what everything is, and there's different moving parts. And I know a lot of people kind of say it's like just a queue, like you just walk through it and that's really it. But it's still kind of cool, especially if you have like an extra 5 or 10 minutes here and there. I would recommend it. Plus it gives you amazing views over Magic Kingdom. So that is something you do not want to miss. At number 67, we have Tomorrowland Speedway. And honestly, they could get rid of this ride tomorrow and I would be happy. I'm sorry, I do not like this ride. It's just, I don't know, first of all, cars can be found at any regional theme park, basically. Like, it's a very basic kind of attraction. And for this, it's just, It's all concrete and it smells like gasoline, and it's supposed to be like you're racing, but they don't go very fast, and you know, the person in front of you is going slow. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's like kind of a pointless attraction in my eyes, but I know there are a lot of people out there who love it, and I mean, I guess I can respect that, but it's not my favorite, and honestly, it takes up so much space that they could put something way better in its spot. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people probably hate me after saying that. Don't leave, it's just my opinion, I'm sorry. At number 66, we have Conservation Station. Now, if you are going to make the trek all the way to Rafiki's Planet Watch, this is something that you just have to do. It's a really cool, well, it's a bunch of things, really. Like, there's a room where you can listen to rainforest sounds, there's like a short film presentation, and then the really cool part is that you can look into their veterinarian facilities and look at behind the scenes of how Animal Kingdom does their animal care. So if you're a theme park nerd like myself, or even just an animal nerd in general, that's a really cool opportunity. But again, maybe it's not like the most exciting thing to do in Animal Kingdom, and it's also kind of hard to get to considering, like I said before, you gotta take the Wildlife Express there, and that can be time consuming. At number 65, we have Hall of Presidents. Now, I honestly don't know how to feel about this attraction. I mean, first of all, I'm Canadian, so I don't have that strong sense of connection or patriotism to the presidents as some US locals would. So this attraction doesn't really appeal to me. But it is kind of interesting, especially when you consider the history. I mean, this is something that Walt Disney himself had envisioned, but never really got to see realized. He did manage to do great moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is now over at Disneyland, but this is the concept that attraction was originally based on. So it's kind of cool that, in a way, it's bringing one of Walt's visions to life. And it is really impressive to see like that many animatronics on stage. I don't know, I guess my overall opinion is that everyone should see the show at least once. I did it back in 2013 when Obama was the presiding president. But I mean, I personally don't think I'll do it again. It wasn't overly interesting. I mean, maybe if you're a history nerd or like a hardcore American, maybe. But for me, it's a one and done. At number 64, we have Star Wars Launch Bay. It's a bunch of things, really. I mean, you've got character meet and greets, and then of course they have different like Star Wars memorabilia, like props and costumes. So if you're a big Star Wars nerd, this would be an interesting attraction to check out. I mean, I'm a casual fan of Star Wars, like I do enjoy it, but I'm not a diehard fan, so for me, I think this is skippable, but still, it's kind of cool that it's there. Coming in at number 63, we have our first roller coaster of the list, and that is the Barnstormer. This is the kiddie ride in the Storybook Circus section of Fantasyland, and honestly, this ride kind of surprised me. It was more fun than I think I expected, which is awesome. And it's basically a roller coaster themed to Goofy being a stunt pilot in a circus. And then there's this cool moment where you go through a billboard, and it's a fun coaster for kids, and it might even be their first coaster. Then again, I do miss the original version. I mean, before it was actually themed to a barn, and they had like this chicken coop and stuff that was really cool, so I kind of miss all that, but it's still good. Like, obviously, I'm not the target demographic. Keep that in mind, but I think it's an interesting coaster, so if you have kids, yeah, it's there, and it's fun. Coming in at number 62, we have Up, A Great Bird Adventure. I have not seen this show since the Up overlay. Before, it used to just be Flights of Wonder, and it was a show all about different birds of prey. But now it's, still a show about birds of prey, which is really cool. But they've added the Up characters, and I think the premise is that they're trying to get their like bird badge or something like that. It's related to like the Wilderness Explorers troupe that Russell is a part of. But I think it's a really cool blend of Disney and Disney characters and real life education of actual legitimate animals. And that's something I really love to see at Disney parks. It's a great example of edutainment. And yeah, I think this is a really cool show. At number 61, we have Beauty and the Beast live on stage. This is a short stage show that tells the story of Beauty and the Beast. And honestly, it's pretty well done. Like, it's not like Broadway version of Beauty and the Beast, but it's still a fun show and I like it. At number 60, we have Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. This is basically, it's like a comedy club run by Mike Wazowski. And this is really cool because there's some audience participation involved. Like, audience members can submit their own jokes that might actually appear in the show. So it's got some really cool interactive moments like that. And it's also one of the very few places where you can see the Monsters, Inc. franchise on Disney property. So if you're a Monsters, Inc. fan, yeah, that attraction is definitely for you. Coming in at number 59 is the Liberty Square Riverboat. This is basically like an old style paddle boat. It goes around the rivers of America and kind of circles Tom Sawyers Island. And it's a long ride, but it's a nice little break away from the park and you get to see some scenes kind of on the banks of the river that you don't otherwise get to see. And just the experience of being on a riverboat, it's classic Disney. And for number 58, 57, and 56, we have the trio of the Epcot Circle Vision shows. Now these three attractions are basically the same thing. Like, it's a screen that wraps all the way around you and it just shows different landmarks and landscapes around that particular country. Now to further kind of subdivide that, I kind of put it as Reflections of China at number 58, Impression de France at 57, and Canada Far and Wide at 56. But I mean, honestly, they're so similar in concept. They're good, but they're very close to each other in terms of goodness. Now I will say that I put Canada Far and Wide just a little higher, first of all, because I'm biased, because I'm a Canadian. And also they updated it recently to be hosted by Captain O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
David, stop acting like a disgruntled pelican.
Iconic. They have been in so many different things. Of course, Schitt's Creek probably being the most popular and most recent thing. But yeah, they are just Canadian icons. So I think that's why I decided to push that particular Circle Vision film just a little higher than the others. Staying in Epcot for number 55, we have The American Adventure. I've actually never seen the show, but I've heard good things about it. It basically tells about the history of the United States and the history of their people. And I've heard that it's a good show. And I mean, the song is iconic. I love the song. But yeah, I've heard that a lot of people just really love this show, and it's definitely one that I want to take in the next time I go to Epcot. All right, so that's where we're gonna leave things off for today. Be on the lookout for part 2 coming next Thursday. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more from me, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you join my wonderful YouTube adventures here. So yeah, do that and hit the little notification icon right next to it while you're at it. Also, be sure to follow me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ADVParker, on TikTok as at Adventures with Parker, and you can also join my Facebook group, The Adventurers Club, which is open to anyone who wants to share their memories of theme parks and travel. And yeah, I'd love to have you join the group. Anyways, have an amazing week, and until next time, remember, the adventures are calling. See ya! This is a short stage show that